we have the Cowboys versus Giants. Cowboys came in and put 30 up on the board versus Giants 10.
I do gotta say this though. Even though Eli Manning's snap streak got snapped last week, the 224 games, I think it was, somewhere around there. But his home consecutive start games is actually 100. I think he's at 106 now, 106, 107. So that did not get streaked, but that's not even the point right here. The point is, I would tell you this. I'm not impressed with the Cowboys win at all, if I'm being quite honest. They're playing against a banged-up Giants team. Dak Prescott had a career day, but it still wasn't impressive.
3 touchdown passes.
Yeah, but he did all that in the fourth quarter. Like, the first 3 quarters, he did absolutely nothing.
Game's won in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, but game is won in the fourth quarter, though. I do got to give credit for the Cowboys.
Pressure situation.
They looked a lot better, but I'm telling you this, they're just not impressing me, and they're not making me feel like that they're going to have any shot at making the playoffs this year. I think
they're winning Super Bowl. For sure.
Well, right. All right. We got to cut that out. 3, 2, 1. We can't. Just kidding. Just kidding. But yeah, it's just the offense doesn't impress me. They've looked sluggish for most of this game. I know that they had the 50-yard touchdown to Des Bryant in the second quarter, like the last 2 minutes, but it really was a 10-10 game until the fourth quarter. And it was one of those things where the Giants defense is banged up. They're one of the worst teams against the pass.
Rod Smith must have taken them. Must have beat on them pretty bad. 113 receiving yards, 22 yard average.
In this game, you were expected to have this day. If you had anything below this type of game, then that's not good, and that's looking pretty rough, especially if you want to talk playoff hopes for the Cowboys. So they did exactly what they were supposed to do. But I can't say I'm impressed, though, because Dak Prescott, still looked he looked okay for most of this game until the fourth quarter, obviously. He had a career day, which is good for, him. But I definitely think that just the win does not impress me one bit. But the Cowboys defense, though, impressed me, though. They had 3 guys with 10 or more tackles, I think. They had Sean Lee coming back from a hamstring injury.
Yeah, Sean Lee.
18 tackles.
Jeff Heath had 8.
An interception. And I think the thing that impressed me, too, is that how Sean Lee came up this explosive against a banged-up Giants team. I was not expecting a lot from the Cowboys defense this year, but I definitely think this game.
What year is Sean Lee in?
This is year 8 for him. He's got drafted in 2010 out of
Cowboys?
Penn State. Cowboys,
career Cowboy.
Sean Lee. Yeah,
another career Cowboy, Witten. Jason Witten. 20-yard reception. Only reception of the day. 20-yarder for a touchdown.
Came at one of the most important times of the game, too. Yeah. I think the problem is that I think the age with Jason Witten, he's in year 15. And, I can see his age is definitely starting to catch up to him. His targets have gone down this year. He had 1 catch against the Redskins, a 1 catch here. He hasn't looked explosive, obviously, and they're having a hard time finding ways to get him the ball. And I think that comes with the age and the type of veteran he is in this part of his career. I think that the thing that they definitely have to look towards, the offseason and stuff like that is that tight end spot. But I definitely think, though, they definitely looked somewhat good. I'll say that for the Cowboys. They looked somewhat good, even though the win just wasn't that impressive at all. I really do think that the defense stepped up a lot this week, too, because I know the thing was about the defense, but I think once Sean Lee came back, they looked a little bit more explosive. They got a little healthier this week. And the one thing they finally, I think Cole Beasley had 3 catches for 59 yards. His longest catch was 54 yards, and that was the most yards he had at all this year, too.
Wow.
So what's your thoughts on this game?
The Cowboys came in and did what they had to do, and the record's looking good. So, they're just exerting their dominance on the NFC East.
Absolutely.
With the exception, obviously, of the Eagles. But to say that the Cowboys aren't a big threat to the Eagles, I don't think that's showing the Cowboys enough respect. So, I think it was a good game. Like you said, games won in the fourth quarter, and you come out and throw 3 touchdowns. in the fourth quarter. I mean,
I do have to say this though. Eli Manning obviously had a streak snapped, and we talked about he still has his home record. But I do gotta say this though, he got the standing ovation when he came out. The first quarter.
Oh, there's a lot
Fans
of love
clapping.
there.
Yeah, fans of course had the love and respect for him. He's done a lot for this organization. I don't think that they disrespected him at all for benching him. Last week, because he's disrespecting the Giants for not playing well on the field. So I think that it just came down to a business decision. But obviously yesterday he played terrible. He had over 200 passing yards, great, but he wasn't scoring. They don't score a lot of points on offense anymore, and it's just and they don't have the playmakers to do it. So he played terrible once again. I know, obviously the defense was able to see that. That's why he had 2 interceptions yesterday, because of his lack of ability to make big plays. He's older. He's done a lot for the organization, though. He beat Tom Brady, one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, twice in a Super Bowl. I mean, that's pretty hard to do.
Yeah, what they have that year going into the playoffs was like a 9-7 record or something like that.
Having all away games in the playoffs and doing that, and he's done a lot to help them. He's been underdog a lot in his career, and I think he'll continue to do even this part in his career. But I think right now is that, I think it comes down to just a business decision. I still think that you still have time to evaluate players, and I think that they need to start doing that as soon as they can. There's no point of putting him out there. Every single time you play with him, you're probably going to lose. And he's not able to win you games. So I think it's just time to evaluate and see what else you can do to replace Eli Manning in the upcoming years.
All right, I think it's time to move on and